very happy time. I'm happy to be back. As I said, it's my hometown.
Yes.
Well, you're a happy girl now.
When you go to London?
Well, Marilyn,
Yes,
I'm
I'm much happier though. I'm very pleased.
More than 6 decades after her tragic death, Marilyn Monroe's passing remains shrouded in controversy, intrigue, and suspicion. Officially ruled a suicide due to a barbiturate overdose, the case is once again under scrutiny, this time by the very man who conducted her original autopsy. Dr. Thomas Noguchi, now 98, served as the junior coroner on Monroe's case in 1962. Although the toxicology report confirmed lethal levels of both Nembutal and chloral hydrate, Noguchi found no pill residue in Monroe's stomach or small intestine, raising doubts about the method of ingestion. Compounding the mystery, he discovered no visible injection marks on her body. Despite his desire to test her stomach contents and organs for further evidence, those samples were discarded prematurely by toxicology staff, a move Noguchi still questions today. The fact that a newly hired coroner, rather than the chief medical examiner, was assigned to such a high-profile death has fueled ongoing suspicions that the investigation may have been mishandled, intentionally or not. These lingering doubts about Monroe's cause of death highlight broader issues surrounding trust in institutional procedures, especially when high stakes and high profiles are involved. A similar tension between procedure and morality surfaced in Tennessee during the execution of 69-year-old Byron Black, a convicted triple murderer. Black had a defibrillator implanted in his chest to regulate his heart rhythm, and his legal team argued that lethal injection could trigger the device, causing him to suffer intense, repeated electrical shocks during the execution process. Witnesses described Black crying out in pain, raising serious concerns about whether the procedure violated the Eighth Amendment's prohibition against cruel and unusual punishment. Experts say the defibrillator could have been easily disabled prior to the execution, yet it remained active. Furthermore, botched IV insertion and improper drug administration could have caused the burning pain Black reportedly experienced. Medical professionals emphasize that such procedures must be scrutinized, especially when the state is constitutionally bound to carry out executions without unnecessary suffering. In both Monroe's death and Black's execution, questions remain about process, ethics, and the transparency of institutions tasked with delivering truth and justice. Whether in the glamorous shadows of old Hollywood or the sterile chambers of death row, the line between official narrative and hidden reality often remains uncomfortably blurred. Two very different deaths, separated by decades and circumstance, have reignited public debates about hidden suffering, institutional failure, and the enduring power of speculation. The recent execution of Byron Black, a 69-year-old triple murderer in Tennessee, was meant to be the clinical fulfillment of a legal sentence. Instead, it unfolded with disturbing irregularities. Trauma surgeon and medical ethicist Dr. Jonathan Groner outlined multiple factors that could have caused Black to cry out in pain during the lethal injection. Improper IV insertion, which may have led to burning from the drugs leaking into surrounding tissues. The possible misfiring of his active heart defibrillator, or a combination of both. Groner criticized the illusion of medical professionalism surrounding executions, calling it a charade, and argued that such procedures often blur ethical lines while disguising the inherent cruelty. He emphasized that proper forensic review could determine whether the defibrillator activated or if the IV was improperly administered, but expressed doubt that states are willing to expose such procedural flaws under legal and public scrutiny. This institutional opaqueness, where critical medical evidence goes unexamined, echoes eerily in the enduring mystery of Marilyn Monroe's death. Although officially ruled a suicide by overdose in 1962, new attention from her original coroner, Dr. Thomas Noguchi, has revived doubts. Noguchi found lethal drug levels in her system, yet no pill residue in her stomach and no injection marks on her body. These anomalies fueled decades of conspiracy theories, the most provocative of which suggest Monroe was murdered to silence her about alleged affairs with the Kennedy brothers. One theory posits that she may have been killed via barbiturate suppository, a method that would bypass visible injection points and leave few forensic clues. Noguchi, now 98, has never publicly confirmed this theory, but his admissions about discarded tissue samples and being bypassed as lead coroner add weight to suspicions that the full truth may never have surfaced. In both cases, whether in a prison death chamber or the Hollywood bedroom of a cultural icon, the presence of unexplained pain, procedural gaps, and institutional silence fuels public doubt. When the facts are incomplete or buried, literally or figuratively, theories grow to fill the void, and the line between truth and cover-up becomes dangerously thin. While advancements in forensic science continue to reshape criminal investigations, some mysteries remain forever beyond the reach of modern technology, especially when crucial evidence has been lost to time. The death of Marilyn Monroe is one such case. Despite renewed interest sparked by former coroner Dr. Thomas Noguchi's recent revelations, experts agree that scientifically reopening the investigation is virtually impossible. Monroe's organs and tissue samples, which could have revealed how the fatal drugs, nugs, entered her system, were discarded decades ago. Without these samples, any new investigation would be built solely on witness accounts, circumstantial details, or speculative motives, not on forensic reevaluation. As a result, theories surrounding her death, ranging from suicide to cover-up, remain suspended in ambiguity. In the absence of hard evidence, the public is left with questions that may never be answered, a frustrating reminder that even high-profile cases can become unsolvable with time. In contrast, another mystery unfolded and was resolved in real time with the help of alert citizens and aggressive policing. A week-long manhunt in Tennessee ended with the dramatic capture of Austin Drummond, the accused killer of 4 members of a single family. The case began when authorities found the youngest family member, a baby, left unharmed on a stranger's doorstep 40 miles from the crime scene. The chilling details quickly gained national attention, but it was the twist in the motive that shocked even seasoned investigators. Drummond had been romantically involved with a state prison guard who was related to the victims. That guard, pregnant with Drummond's child, was fired over the relationship. Her familial link to the victims, including the grandmother and 2 other relatives, may have fueled the killings. Drummond was ultimately spotted in the woods near a vacant pool house outside Jackson, Tennessee. Thanks to sharp-eyed residents who recognized him and immediately called 911, authorities were able to apprehend him within minutes. At the time of the murders, Drummond had been out on bond in a separate attempted murder case and had previously served 13 years for armed robbery. Police also recovered a cache of weapons, though it's still unclear whether any were used in the quadruple homicide. The stark contrast between these 2 cases, one clouded by time, the other unfolding in plain view, underscores how justice depends not only on evidence, but on timing, vigilance, and access to truth. In Montana, fear and uncertainty continue to grip the small town of Anaconda as authorities search for Michael Brown, a former Army sergeant accused of a chilling mass shooting. Brown allegedly gunned down 4 people inside a bar near his home before vanishing into the surrounding wilderness. With no clear motive and a known history of severe mental health issues, including schizophrenia and possible PTSD, Brown is considered highly dangerous, both to others and potentially to himself. The town remains under partial lockdown as residents grapple with the aftermath and debate whether they should join the search or stay out of harm's way. Many in the community are frustrated by the slow progress and the psychological toll of living in fear. Unlike other high-profile fugitives, Brown's background as a troubled veteran raises larger questions about mental health care, reintegration after military service, and the red flags that may have been missed long before the bloodshed occurred. At the same time, public discourse around institutional credibility has returned to the forefront in another story, one rooted not in rural Montana, but in Hollywood's golden age. Dr. Thomas Noguchi, the legendary coroner who performed the autopsy on Marilyn Monroe, is back in headlines after expressing doubts about the official conclusion that she died by suicide. Some critics argue that Noguchi, now 98, may be seeking the spotlight one last time, but many forensic professionals strongly disagree. They point to his long and distinguished career, including his meticulous and widely praised autopsy of Robert F. Kennedy. That procedure was conducted in full view of dozens of experts, a direct contrast to the poorly handled autopsy of JFK, which Noguchi reportedly used as a cautionary example to reform medical protocols in high-profile cases. His attention to detail, insistence on transparency, and willingness to involve outside experts earned him a reputation for forensic excellence. Whether in a remote Montana town or a decades-old Beverly Hills mystery, the question remains the same. Who do we trust to deliver truth? And who gets to define it? As authorities pursue a fugitive whose motives remain murky, and as an aging coroner seeks to clarify events long buried, the public is left navigating an uneasy space between fear, memory, and the ever-elusive pursuit of justice. Few stories spark deeper public debate than those that sit at the crossroads of justice, redemption, and safety. And the case of David Braum does just that. In 1988, Braum brutally murdered his parents and 2 younger siblings with an axe at just 16 years old. He was tried as an adult and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. But in 2023, Minnesota passed legislation banning life without parole sentences for juveniles, joining a growing number of states that now recognize the potential for rehabilitation in young offenders. As a result, Braum became immediately eligible for parole and has since been transferred to a halfway house under 24/7 GPS monitoring. Supporters of the law, including the legislator who authored it, argue that no child should be condemned to die behind bars without a chance at redemption. They point to the decades Braum has spent in prison and cite his record of rehabilitation as proof that change is possible. Yet critics, including the state's House Speaker, expressed deep concern that someone capable of such unspeakable violence is now walking free, even under supervision. They question whether the justice system has balanced public safety and accountability with its growing emphasis on reform and second chances. The controversy highlights an uncomfortable truth. Not every act of forgiveness is universally welcomed, especially when victims' families continue to live with the trauma of what was lost. This moral and legal tension is at the heart of the Banfield episode, which challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable questions. From the mysterious death of Marilyn Monroe to the ethics of modern executions and the release of a convicted juvenile murderer, the program weaves a complex narrative of unresolved mysteries and evolving standards of justice. But it doesn't stop there. Viewers are actively encouraged to weigh in. Through social media and email, they're invited to become alternate jurors, casting their own verdicts on issues that have no easy answers. In doing so, the show becomes more than a news broadcast. It transforms into a civic forum where ethics, law, and human emotion collide. Whether the topic is conspiracy, capital punishment, or rehabilitation, one theme is clear. Public engagement isn't just welcome, it's essential. Because in the end, society itself is the ultimate jury.